Today, in a special Out of the House edition of the White House Brief, 3 things that won't do a darn thing to end racism. Number 1, tearing down statues. Yay! Now racism must be gone forever. Wrong. You just took down an inanimate object. Those were a bunch of commie activists in North Carolina toppling Confederate statues. The left seems to be obsessed with this ridiculous idea that, oh, somehow if we take down these statues, all the racists will evaporate into thin air. Really? That's what you think? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I like what Condoleezza Rice had to say about this.
I am a firm believer in keep your history before you. When you start wiping out your history, sanitizing your history to make you feel better, it's a bad thing.
I went to a city in Virginia that's voted to wipe out some of its Confederate history. Here in Alexandria, Virginia, the city council has unanimously voted to remove this statue of a Confederate soldier from the public square. Do you think that we should remove the Confederate statue over there?
I think so.
It should be removed, yes. There are some parts of our history that should be erased.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a beautiful piece of urban design.
What about the people who say it's a reminder of racism?
I think we'd never want to forget that.
Do you think we should remove the statue?
No, I don't care about statues.
I would say go ahead and remove them.
Honestly, no.
Do we need to remove the statue?
Most definitely. We don't need any messages of hate here in our city at all. We're not gonna miss it. It's in the way anyway.
All right, I got news for these people. You can topple all the Confederate statues you want. There are still going to be racists who hate black people and other minorities because of the color of their skin. And rewriting history is not going to change these people and their ways. And plus it starts a dangerous and totalitarian precedent. As Conservative Review's Daniel Horwitz writes, all of this is part and parcel of a de-civilization agenda that desecrates every bit of our history, traditions, and common sense values. It is truly regressive at its core. All right, the second thing that won't do anything to end racism, taking out so-called racists from Trump's administration. The talking point du jour on the left is to claim that Trump aides Steve Bannon, Jon Miller, and Sebastian Gorka are rabid racists and were somehow responsible for the white power rally in Charlottesville. House minority caucuses have even called for their removal. Okay, despite there being zero evidence whatsoever to support the claim that they are racists, removing them from power will do absolutely nothing to stop the racists in Charlottesville from demonstrating. It's not like Trump's all of a sudden gonna say, oh great, now that Bannon and the boys are out, I can finally put in place that free speech ban I've been meaning to implement all this time. Is that what you people think is gonna happen? Get a clue. People have a right to protest as long as it's peaceful, which it wasn't in Charlottesville, and that's a whole other issue. But Charlottesville didn't turn violent simply because these 3 guys were sitting in the White House. And that brings me to the third and final point. Banning free speech and telling Nazis they don't have a First Amendment right to speak and peacefully demonstrate is not going to end racism. If anything, that's going to make the Nazis angrier, and it's going to give the government the power of labeling people who aren't Nazis as such. If it were up to the left, would the Google employee who was fired for saying men and women are different be considered a Nazi? Would Jeffrey Lord be considered a Nazi? Well, CNN already told us what they think about that. Banning free speech doesn't do anything to solve these problems. But what can we do to end racism? Well, if anything has proved that it's possible, it's the history of this country. I think Martin Luther King had it right when he said, evil can be cast out not by man alone, but when we open the door and invite God through Christ to enter. God freely offers to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And that's today's brief. I'm Jon Miller. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at MillerStream. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.